Yesterday we talked about the drama and the tweets and all that, and today I want to actually dive into what I enjoyed and what I'm looking forward to, and the things that shocked me the most about the Path to Exile 2 reveal live stream trailer extravaganza festival that we had day before yesterday. Let's dive into it. Come on, you piece of junk!
It's Hog, baby.
About to show you got Hog. Thanks for stopping by. So we've been sitting over on my Twitch. Y'all ain't following me, come follow me over there. It's where I do my live streams every day at 3. We've been hanging out, kind of doing a PoE2 waiting room, trying to ingest as much content as possible. And there was so much content that dropped from this. It was hard to be. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I was excited, but it's almost like just getting hit with a fire hose information. It's just like, and you're just like, oh my God, stop! Ah! That's what I felt like. It was awesome. So we've gone through and to give you an idea, we watched a bunch of the creators yesterday, saw everybody else's reaction, and um, Aaron Action actually made a good point. He said we were falling asleep during the Diablo 4 campfire, which we were too. He said, and I went back and watched it a second time, the PoE 2 reveal. We did the same thing. We did it, I think we watched it like 2.5 times through because there's so much information. And after I really needed it, to be honest with you, I needed a whole nother day to rewatch everything and process. And every time I go through it again, I'm getting more and more and more info. So I'm just going to touch on some major things that I liked. There's so much to go over. The first one obviously is the cinematics. Y'all, this cinematic right here, we always give PoE a kind of a hard time because there's no cutscenes, cinematics, or lore or anything like that. Feel like they remedied it this time. There's lore. I immediately was sucked in, like, ooh, wait a minute, there's lore? Okay, what's this going to be about? Huge Diablo 2 vibes immediately. Something I have not heard from anybody else yet, but most of the people that I've kind of watched hadn't played much D2. This is straight inspired out of D2's ass. It's unreal. Um, we'll see here in a minute. You know, you got the Wanderer. They're kind of wandering around with that beast, baby beast that's in the cage. Um, kind of trying to stop the spread of corruption from the seed of corruption, which to me is very similar to the World Stone, and the hero trying to chase the Wanderer throughout the axe. So heavy, heavy, heavy D2 inspiration, which we all know Path Exile 1 is the proper D3. So could this possibly be the proper D4? Who knows? But those vibes are there. Great job with the cinematics. The graphics were amazing. The suspense was there. Um, this who is it? This guy here. This reminded me of Tyrael. Tyrael in Diablo 2 came down to protect humanity. He was not a mortal being. He was an immortal angel, I guess. That's what this guy reminds me of here. Uh, I even said it during the reveal. I was like, damn, that reminds me of Tyrael right there. So, anyway, cutscene was badass. They really stepped their game up. They knew, I feel like they stepped back and analyzed the situation, and they knew what they were coming into, and they knew what they had to deliver upon. And I feel like they did it, at least with the cinematics. And that kind of leads us into the next thing with them being self aware and knowing the audience and knowing, what to expect, or not what to expect, but what they needed to deliver. And that's with the end game. So, admittedly, I was annoyed when they said that the game wasn't going to be complete with 6 acts. And after I heard Jonathan say what he said, I kind of felt stupid. Like, why do I care? So what he said was, we were developing the acts, and then a few months ago, we realized we better stop right now. We literally dropped everything we're doing and pivoted to in-game, because that's why everybody plays an ARPG, is to in in-game. Everybody hates playing campaign. That's why their campaign skips, and I'm really holding on to hopium copium that later on in the life cycle of this will get a campaign skip. But with the random generation, and no maps are ever the same, and or no levels in the campaign are ever the same, and there's multiple different monsters, whatever, I don't think we're gonna have the same campaign playthrough experience that we'll have. Whereas like PoE 1 is more predictable. I don't think we're gonna have that in PoE 2, but again, it's all speculation. We ain't played the game. But again, the point is, they stopped working on the axe. They said, this is dumb. All these other games are coming out unfinished with no end game. So we're going to make sure we got a complete end game, because that's what ARPG players want. And so that was like just showing off why the king wears his crown right there, because he knows, because none of these other developers get that. They provide you with activities to do during the game while you're leveling and stuff, but not activities to do once you get there. Nothing with substantial rewards, nothing with any kind of anything, no bragging rights, no nothing. I mean, there's something in the PoE community like doing, all the Uber Shaper and all this stuff. Some guys can't do that and some guys can, and that gives you a level of prestige or whatever. There's no competitiveness in some of these other games, where this feels like it's there. So that was really cool that, again, they just showed that they're in tune with everything. They know, because they are ARPG players themselves. They know we don't care about the axe. So after he said all that stuff, I felt silly that I had kind of bitched about that. And I just want to clarify the 25 hours. So they kept saying 25 hours for new players. So that you can interpret new any way you want to, but it's a pretty broad thing. It could be people brand new to ARPGs or people brand new to Path to Exile. They did say it's not shown in this graphic right here. There's going to be a cruel difficulty, which you just repeat Acts 1, 2, and 3, which I was informed that's actually from PoE 1 betas where they had that cruel difficulty. It will go away for the official launch of the game. We will have Acts 1 through 6 for the official launch of the game. But yeah, the end game looks absolutely amazing. We'll get to that here in a minute. Other really cool thing was, the artwork here is just, you talk about dark and gory, it's dark and gory. This is your character selection screen. So we're going to have monk, witch, mercenary, ranger, sorceress, and, who's that last guy? Warrior. So we'll have those available. Each one of these will have 2 ascendancy classes, with the 3rd added on release. We will get 6 more classes with 3 ascendancies each on release. That's that's crazy. They haven't really shown us anything about some of the other classes, but I'm really excited to play pretty much every single solitary one of these. Probably my least one I'm excited for is Ranger, but I'm having a very hard time deciding between, sorceress or monk or mercenary, or they just all look so good. So yeah. Another thing that I really liked about what they showed us was the skill gem system. I'm absolutely sick to death of the links and the colors. And I know that's gating a lot of new players from coming in. That's just not an issue here, luckily. You're no longer really having to worry about stuff on your items as far as links and sockets go, and trying to find a 6 link and trying to get all that together, or trying to 6 link a 6 socket and get the right colors and look for a chromatic orb to do this and that with, or trying to find it's just, I'm so glad that it's going away. And this is why a lot of people are saying, not, majority of the people that I'm seeing react to this that are PoE 1 players are saying this is nuked PoE 1, because like, why would you go back and play PoE 1? If you can get the speed and everything you need and still have that power fantasy, why would you go back to having to deal with all the flasks and having to deal with all the rolling of the flasks and the skill gems and the links and then this? And there's so many just little tedious things that they've done away with in this game I just, oh, it's even hard to log back into PoE1 right now to have to go deal with that. You will get a skill gem that you will cut now and put into a socket that's there already. You don't have to worry about linking it. You don't have to worry about the color requirements of it. Mark was saying that, not Mark, Jonathan was saying that there's seven, no, excuse me, you see them right here. There's 6 socket slots on each one. Um, that's fucking killer. So anyway, it's there. That's badass. You don't have to worry about trying to roll any of that crap. Rolling flasks to me too was super annoying. They fixed the flask system. You have 2 flasks now. Let's see if I can move it over so you can see. We now have a mana flask and a health flask. They did say during the Ziggy D Q&A that the mana flask is never going away. Like, we're gonna have a mana flask, and I like that. Let me tell you why. Having a mana flask means no generator spinner. If you try to go away, if you try to go like away from the mana flask, usually what happens is you start going into generator spinner territory, and we all know how Hog feels about generator spinner. I hate that shit. So keep the mana flask. That's fine. If I need mana, I'll press the button and I'll get mana. Kill more monsters. It refills. To fix the utility flasks, which if you are not a PoE player, you would have utility flasks that would have different things they do, like cold resistance or all res or critical strike or, whatever. And then you would actually roll those with augmentation orbs and other orbs, try to get, badass shit on there. And it was a pain in the ass. And then you'd have to automate them. And then it would mean that you'd be basically chasing mage blood forever. And your whole life revolved around flasks. It was a personal annoyance for me. Now we've got these little trinkets that you can use that will make up for those utility flasks, and you don't have to sit here and play flask piano, even though you could automate those flasks. Some people didn't like to automate flasks, or for whatever reason it is, if you didn't know about automating flasks. But me personally, I'd be playing and chat would be like, Hog, fix your flasks, Hog, fix your flasks. And it's like, damn, do y'all really want me to stop right now to have to spend 30, 45, 50, 60, 80 fucking hours, sit here and re-roll all my damn flasks? I don't know if I have the currency to do that. I don't know if I have all that to do that. All this is solved here. Speaking of currency, we'll have currency. It's a lot more streamlined, but it is Path to Exile. You will have currency. And that's the way the cookie crumbles there. You will be able to craft and all, but you won't need to be being a juggler with all this different currency, and it's not going to be super restricted. So in PoE1, currency was kind of, the currencies that you really needed were kind of hard to come by. This is complete opposite. They're encouraging you to use the currency to craft your items and all that stuff. So that looks absolutely fantastic as well. Another thing that I'm super stoked about is the real play your own way. So we see the skill gems right here, skill tree. See if I can stop. There we go. As you see, each weapon, we got quarterstaff, dagger, elemental, occult, primal, flail, mace, axe, crossbow, sword, all this. It doesn't matter what character class you are. Every single solitary character class can use every single solitary character class's skills and vice versa, whatever. That is absolutely epic. Here they took it a step further. So in PoE1, and this is my personal experience, this is why I like playing Scion, PoE1. I like making just out there builds. It's something that I enjoy. It's why I like playing PoE, because you could do that kind of stuff. Whereas in Diablo 4, you were limited to the very basic choices that you had on the twig. This right here takes what PoE1 was doing, but gives you even more freedom. And the reason is the ascendancies. We'll look at those here in a second. But the ascendancies are less specific. So if you look at PoE1 ascendancies, they were really powerful, and they added a lot of extra stuff, and you pretty much had to follow certain kind of build areas, if that makes any sense. Like a chieftain, you needed to have fire stuff, and you needed to have certain things, or gladiator, you need to have certain things. With this, the ascendancies are much simpler. So if you decide to build a wild build that has You know, you're casting firewall and throwing a bell through it and then hitting it with a crossbow or something. You're not basically cutting your legs off doing that because you're not choosing a specific ascendancy. Your ascendancy that you're taking could actually benefit that entire thing. You're not actually limited to, man, why is Hog taking that? He should be taking Chieftain and doing this and doing that because it's still, was PoE one player on way? Yeah, to an extent. It was player own way, but the build might not be great. This looks more like you could really play how you wanted to play. Everything could be high damage. Everything could synergize with other things. The multiplayer stuff looks great as far as synergies and all that stuff go as well. Everybody can interact with like the monk's bell, the lightning stuff on the ground, shot from a ranger, whatever people can interact with. Super excited about all that stuff. The possibility for multiplayer is there. I think they're gonna encourage us to be multiplayer, but not force you to be multiplayer. I know that's kind of a fighting thing inside the ARPG community. Is a lot of people don't want to play multiplayer, but a lot of people do want to play multiplayer. And how do you find that fair balance in the middle? Um, the shield active block was really cool to me. We see some shield guy right here. The attacks are redirectable now, which is absolutely badass. You can active block and hold your shield up and just block stuff, including spells. You can double fist two-hand weapons. A lot of people have been asking about that in ARPGs. We can finally do it now as well. We look at the Ascendancy trials. See, a lot of people didn't like doing lab. Some people love doing lab. A lot of people didn't like doing lab. It was a pain in the ass. Me personally, I didn't like doing lab. I would hold off on doing my very first lab until I'm like level 50 because I just really did not want to mess with it at all. And they've made this much easier, or maybe not easier, but maybe easier to digest this time. They've given us multiple choices this time. So in early access for PoE 2, it will be 2 choices. It's basically Sanctum and Ultimatum. I will probably be doing the Ultimatum side of this, but that's the big choice there, or the big thing there is giving us choice. If you're struggling with doing one of them, you can go do another one. There will be a third one released on full game release, but it's much, much, much better to me once you defeat the final boss after you move through the different waves or stations or wherever you got to go, checkpoints. Then you'll be able to ascend. And I'll let y'all look at the ascendancies yourself. I don't really want to spoil a lot of the game until the game's out a little bit. So we're trying not to do builds. We're trying not to dive too hard on that side. I want to have a natural discovery of the game as we work through. But the ascendancies and the labs being way more player friendly is the big thing. That's the common theme throughout the whole release here. It might not necessarily be easier or less complex, but it's more player friendly. It's easier to digest. It's not as overwhelming. That's the overall feel that I have. And I'm just I'm of the firm belief that if I can play the game, anybody can play the game. I don't think that you need a PhD to play PoE. I don't think that it's super overwhelming. I don't think that it's an instant gratification. I want to be powerful and level 105 hours kind of game either, though. So you have to know that going into it. This is a journey. So that message is particularly for my Diablo 4 friends. I don't know why I can't talk today. That message is straight for my Diablo 4 people that watch. If you decide to come over here and play this, you need to know that you will not be level 105 hours. You will not be done with the game in 2 weeks. I mean, that's just not how it's designed to be played. It's designed to be a journey. It's just like the old school games used to be, where, like old Sierra game, you'd get on, play that shit for 4 months. Like, this is a journey. Enjoy the game. The end game obviously is another thing that we're excited about. I'm excited about. This like Infinite Atlas type deal right here is bad ass. And I know a lot of people have been concerned about this particular point right here. What do we do if we die? So guys, let me explain. If you die right here, and GGG has overlooked this, which I highly doubt they have, they will fix it. So a lot of people are dooming right now over this. Oh, this is a potentially bad system. And what if you brick right here? What if you do this? If you had listened to the Q&A session, they said they want us to discover the game. So just let's all wait. I said this during Diablo 4, and I'll say it in PoE 2. Let's wait for the game to come out. Let's play the game. If we don't like a system, or it's not designed correctly, or that we see an issue with it, or it doesn't work the way it was intended, then we will provide that feedback to GGG, and they will come back and fix it like they always do. They did say in the Q&A session, this is another reason I really like this company. They said that they did not have any plans. They are ready to put out fires on the server. Anything that's wrong with the game, they're going to try to fix immediately. They're listening to feedback. This is why we're having early access for 6 months. They did say 6 months. They will be releasing some leagues during this time and releasing more content in there. They did say the Druid was almost ready to probably be a few months, and then they'll put it in early access. So for the guys that are ready to play Druid, it'll be there soon. But that's the big thing here is if you're concerned about these 4 points, if you fail all 4 of these, first of all, if you fail 3 of them, stop and go fix your build in the campaign. Obviously, right? Like, don't just barge through there and try to be a bull in a china shop. If you've died 3 times, you know you're about to brick your shit. Back up and fix it. Don't be hard-headed. That's the first thing I'd say. But the second thing is they've probably got a way to where if you brick this, it spawns another thing, or it lets you reset it, or I highly doubt they make you brick your entire game and start all over again. That's not going to happen. The whole theme behind this is a more player-friendly Path to Exile. So there's that. And then the final thing, I kind of glazed over this a touch. I want to go back. The number one thing that I'm most excited for is the dual skill trees. This right here is, of course, the passive tree is still massive, but now you have a tree that's assigned to each weapon slot in your inventory. So one tree is assigned to weapon slot 1, one tree is assigned to weapon slot 2. You can have an entire setup. It's been a little confusing. Okay, let me back up. We didn't know if it was going to be a small amount of points that you can change between a base passive tree that you set up, but listening to the Q&A and hearing them talk, they straight up said you could have a bone shatter set up on one weapon slot and then hit that button, swap over to weapon slot 2, and have just throwing a spell out there, a frozen orb build. That's what I'm super fucking stoked about, because that literally means I can build whatever I want to. That's the biggest challenge with trying to build like that in Path to Exile 1 is the tree does not change, which means your ascendancies and all that don't change. So if you can't change that on the fly, then that badass build that you want to do is null and void. But if you can change that tree on the fly, then that means that build can be absolutely badass. Now, there has been some concern from some of the feedback in the community about balancing issues around that, and how is that going to be balanced. And again, we'll just have to play it. It's one thing I've talked about, innovative ideas. I want them to come out. This is innovative. Maybe not in video games, but in ARPGs, yeah. I would rather them take a big risk with something cool that we hadn't really played a lot of or seen before and have to fix it, and then not take the risk. And that's really what I bitched about with Diablo 4 a lot was they ain't taking a risk, they ain't taking a risk, they ain't taking a risk. Take a damn risk, we'll give you a pass if you take the risk. These guys are taking a risk with the weapon specialization stuff. So that's my most favorite part about it. Here's a little piece of it right here. I just think that's the coolest damn thing, the coolest thing out there. But I'm super stoked about this. We're going to obviously be streaming it every damn day. We're going to be doing a subathon over on Twitch. This is going to be an old school OG subathon, meaning I don't leave the camera until the time comes down. It's going to be an exile-a-thon is what it is. Basically, I am exiled to my shed. I do game in a shed in my yard. My old lady has exiled me out here, so we are not going to be allowed to leave the shed. That means sleep in here, bathroom in here, bird baths in here, eat in here. The whole time the subathon's going on, we got some goals going on. So it'll be a fun time. Come join me over on Twitch. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you're playing, what you thought about the reveal, and if you're hyped or not. Scale of 1 to 10, hit like and subscribe. See you next time.